So in this video, I want to go through the basics of actually using FunnelFlux. So getting in, understanding the user interface, understanding the various components, and doing some basic testing to, reaffirm that you understand query strings and tokens and postback URLs and so on. So I'm going to fire up my FunnelFlux installation, if I can even remember the domain. I think it's there, and we probably need to go to the login, which is, I guess, /admin perhaps. There we go, I'm already logged in. Beautiful. Okay, so this is your main dashboard. You have a display here of data over time. Obviously I have nothing. You have these various widgets here and so on. Personally, I kind of don't care too much for dashboards because I like to drill into tables of data, but you can do whatever you want with this kind of dashboard system. What I'm going to do now is go through each of the sections individually to explain their purpose, and then we'll do some testing. So first of all, let's go to the options here. Edit user settings, user management, and so on. I'll just go through this. Edit user management, obviously just your username and password and so on. I'm going to go to the next part, user management. So in here, this is quite cool. FunnelFlux has quite a nice user management system, so you can actually add a new user to your actual tracker, activate them or reactivate them, and give them different management rights. So you can let them look at stats, you can let them edit the various things, you can let them look at traffic sources, for example, or perhaps they can't look at traffic at all, they can only look at the actual the offers and landers. So perhaps they're a virtual assistant who's just helping you with the management and deployment of things in certain process. You can set all of these very specific permissions for what people can actually do. You can make it so they can view campaigns, but they can't actually delete or archive or edit them. Very, very cool if you want to collaborate with people and share things. And I don't believe that any other tracker system has user management even near this level. So in that sense, it's very, very well facilitated toward a team kind of environment. Let's go to traffic filters. Oops, that didn't work. Okay, so traffic filters allow you to kind of redirect and hide traffic at the global level, I believe. So if I go to new filter, what I can do is call this test filter, for example. What I can do is say filter traffic from IP address, and maybe I add my IP address, and I can hide it from statistics so that my tests don't appear in the statistics. And I could turn this filter on and off during testing. I could also filter by, for example, known by bots and spiders, and either I can hide them from statistics, which is great if I don't want them to appear, or I can hide and redirect them to a specific URL for whatever reason. Another thing I can do is look at, say, IP ranges and ISPs and referrers, and add reviewers from Facebook, for example, like the automated bots. Not because I'm trying to like cloak or anything like that. This is not what I'm doing. But for example, I might put ISPs in here, like Amazon, Inc. or whatever it's called. I'll find these in my stats. Then I can put hide from statistics. I can toggle this on and off, and that way I can make my campaign appear clean to me when I'm actually looking at the data. I don't have to deal with all of these, this flood of review stats, which can actually be quite significant if you've submitted a lot of different ads. So I'm just going to save that for the moment, and then I'm going to go to system updates and see what's in here. So general updates that have been deployed, and access log. So I've got my IP and things. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is go through all of the various aspects here. Campaigns tend to involve sources, offers, and landers all kind of linked together, so I'm not going to go to that yet. I'm going to start with traffic sources. So in traffic source, let's add a new one. Okay, I'm going to call it, what should I call it? Test source. For the cost type, this is essentially how much each tracked click is costing. For systems where you're bidding on a CPM basis, then you probably don't know this. You can't calculate it in real time very easily either. Don't even bother. If you are, however, with a traffic source where you're paying a very specific amount per click, then that might be a situation where you can use this. So that would be CPE when each click is worth a very specific amount. CPA would be on a network where you're getting traffic sent and you're only actually paying when a conversion happens. That would be that. So I'm going to put it on CPE and leave the default cost as nothing. We have templates here, which is kind of useful. So we can say do zero park. Yep, let's replace everything, and it sort of fills things in, which is cool. So you should understand all of this and do it manually first to understand how it works, but you can of course streamline everything. So I'm going to stick with zero park for the moment. Here you have the tracking fields. So this is you're basically constructing how data is going to be passed from the traffic source to your FunnelFlux install. Well, there's a video here. What is this? Okay, tutorial video. I'll get out of that. So any URL that you generate for a campaign, if your traffic source is zero park, it's going to add CID equals this, and target equals this, and keyword equals this, and so on. All of these values here, they can be whatever you want. You just want them to be semantic and make sense. These values here, they are tokens from the traffic source. So we're setting up a template for a traffic source. Every single token in here needs to match the traffic source's tokens. They have, which ones you need to use here, have nothing to do with FunnelFlux. So if I was to load, say, add cache, these are now square brackets. If I was to load site scout, these are still square brackets. Let's do traffic advance. Now they're squiggly brackets, lead impact. Now we have that, and we have a sort of percentage thing. Bing. There we go, squiggly brackets as well. Go to Mobi. Okay, so it should be pretty clear that, squiggly curly brackets are kind of the most common, but they are not always used. Don't kind of think that one thing transfers over to another. This is not true at all. Here, these tokens are just plain text that get replaced, and so on. And in that case, you'll notice here that you're never using the same word here. Oh, you are actually there. So actually, I'm not quite sure how that's working. What else do we have? Facebook. Facebook will just be something generic. This is what I use or this is what I would recommend, because there are no dynamic tokens in Facebook. In any case, let's use Facebook for the moment and keep it as is. Let's put the default cost to $1 just because we can. For fire conversions back to the traffic source, this would be when that traffic source actually has a postback URL. So if I go to GoToMobi, this is what their postback URL looks like in general. You will need to go into your account to get the API key and put that in there. And the click ID here, this is passing the click ID parameter, which is this, which has this token. This is the name of the actual field. If we wanted to pass this field's specific value back to the traffic source, we would use FunnelFlux's token here. So if I change this, I don't think it's going to change there because it's just a template. But in any case, understand that if I put banana here, and from the traffic source I passed banana equals click ID, then the field banana would have the click ID that I need to pass back later, and therefore here I would actually do that. So I just want to make that clear. People can get very, very confused when there's multiple overlapping names and tokens and fields and so on. You could also use pixels and JavaScript if that is what your actual traffic source supports. I would tend to use postback URLs wherever possible. Sometimes you can't. For JavaScript, this will only work if you embed FunnelFlux's iframe on the conversion page. You can't have a postback URL at your affiliate network, fire a postback to FunnelFlux, and then have FunnelFlux load JavaScript. That doesn't work. JavaScript loads in a user's browser. It all has to happen in the browser for that actual specific user. So I'm just going to change this to postback URL and actually remove it for the moment. Actually, I'll go back to Facebook as I said and save. So if you wanted to use your Facebook pixel here and you did have iframe tracking on your conversion page with your network or your offer, then you could indeed actually put the JavaScript here for your Facebook campaign. Okay, now let's close that. Now that we have Facebook there, let's go to offers. So these are the things that you're actually going to be pushing traffic to. I'm just going to make a new offer and use one of my landers. So let's use CDN cats LP2. We'll use our favorite, this guy, put that in here. We're going to call this the 18 millisecond cat lander. Category, you can just use categories here for just general grouping on your end. That's all up to you. That is the URL. For the tokens, this is where I can have FunnelFlux pass various things through. The payout is going to be $18. The offer source, I don't actually have any added yet, so this will be like the affiliate network. Like, where did the offer come from? It came from Cat Affiliate. There we go. So again, this is all for just grouping and categorization and so on. For the redirect type, use whatever you want. 301 and 307 are going to do the exact same thing. Ultimate meta refresh is kind of a very cool way of doing the meta refresh. This is typically when you want to actually blank referrers and make it so that the downstream person, so the affiliate network, can't actually see the landing page URLs that your page came from. It's up to you to actually test these and figure out what works. We can actually do this right now. We'll do that in a moment. The last one here is Fluxify, which is a unique thing that FunnelFlux offers. This is not something I'll go over just now. It's something I think that you can actually deal with. Actually, what am I saying? This is something I can go over with right now. I don't want a cache page because I'm already using a CDN. Let's say I preview this, right? Or say I'm going to save that offer first. I'm going to allow pop-ups. And now I'm going to preview. So this cool thing lets you actually take a page, whether it is even yours or not, whether you host it or not, and use it in your campaign and actually rewrite and change things in that lander. It is a really cool piece of tech. So here we've previewed, right? And you can see that the domain URL here is actually track. It's not the CDN, right? Which is kind of interesting. Now what happens if I do content rewriter? Say I'll open this back up. I want to replace my headline here with my Fluxified headline here. And I could even insert script. So let's do script wombat. That's going to cause an error. Right, who cares? And for the body, we can do body wombat. Okay, let's save that and we'll see what happens. If I open that, look at that. So I haven't, edited this page by FTP. I haven't done any of that. What is happening is FunnelFlux is actually rewriting and sourcing this page. If I was to open my web developer console and put it here, note that there's these errors because of what I've done to the page. If I load this, if I open the page source, you can hopefully see my wombat. Where is my wombat? There it is. Right before the closing body, my body wombat. Before the closing head, here's my wombat up here. So we're actually injecting things into this page. And as you can see here, it's actually loading. If we click this here, it's actually loading the HTML, the page source, from our server, from FunnelFlux, right? And if we look at the headers here, if we look at this actual console, we can see that we loaded this first. That is our actual initial load from our FunnelFlux installation. If we go to the network settings here, we can see we're actually loading the initial page, the HTML, from FunnelFlux. We can see that it's coming from Nginx. It's not coming from Cloudflare, but all of the other assets, the JPEG and so on, all of these are coming from Cloudflare here. Now the LP here itself, that is also coming from Cloudflare too. So that is actually the downstream HTML and so on, and that's still being cached, right? So this is kind of a cool, interesting thing going on, which I won't even try to explain, where FunnelFlux is essentially modifying this page in almost real time. It's basically altering this page and then delivering it to you as if it was the other person's page, which is really cool. So I can do various other things as well. I can prevent video autoplay, disable exit pop-ups, break analytics, all these interesting things. and I could do this on someone else's page. So for example, anantech.com is one of my favorite examples to use. If I preview this when it's ready, it'll load anantech.com. If I load my network graph here and reload, I'll try this again. Is that correct? Yep. There we go. So notice I'm on Anantech, but my URL does not say I'm on Anantech. And for better or worse, everything else is actually anantech.com, but with the rewriting that we can do on top of that. So I could basically take every word in here and use this rewriter, is, and make that banana. I could add several others, the wombat, a xeno, and then save that, and then see what happens. So you can see I kind of broke everything, probably because I rewrote the letter A. I should probably not do that. That's probably going to break things in like every file name that exists. That was a little silly. That was a little aggressive in terms of rewriting. Here we go. Okay, what have we got? Today we're taking a look at a highly integrated server, lots of with Wombat ThunderX. What else have we got? What did I replace again? I replaced is and the. AMD, where do I have Wombat? Wombat. Perfect, so it's working as expected. Okay, so that aside, let's get off that for the moment. We'll go to temporary redirect and we'll test the speeds of those a little bit later. For URL tokens, so I'll get back to this. This is where we can insert things into our actual landing page URL. We will come back and do that a little bit later. I digress, and I will continue moving on. So that is our offer. Now let's go to landers. In fact, I kind of want that as a lander rather than as an actual offer, but we'll go to landers anyway. Let's make a new lander. Okay, I want to give this, call it just bridge test, category, cat lander, put this URL in and make it LP2A. For the tokens, I don't really care at the moment. And let's do one of these. Let's do ultimate meta refresh and save. Now what I'm going to do is get on board by FTP here, and I'll actually invent this lander. CDN. Okay, and what I want to do is essentially duplicate this LP2, right? So I'm just going to drag it over here for the moment. Oop, that didn't work. I need a folder. Give me 1 second. There we go. There's my Muse lander. So I'm going to put, I'm going to do this directly here. I'm going to make LP2A. There we go. I'm going to quickly edit that to make it a bridge lander. So where is our call to action? Let's delete all of that so that we know what's going on. Actually, let's be a little bit more careful there. When I click this, hopefully you can see it underlines the beginning and the end. So I'm going to delete that. Same for that one. Delete that. Call to action. I need to make this a link because we're going to have to replace this in a moment. href equals hash for the moment. Okay, save that, LP2A. Good to go. Oh, no, we're not. We want that up here. Okay, perfect. So that's our actual lander. That's all good. We're going to save that. So now we've set up a traffic source. Facebook. We have set up an offer source, which is just a category. We've set up an offer, which is this end cat lander. And we've set up a lander, which is the same thing, just a little bit abridged. Now if we go to your links, this is where we can actually get links for a campaign, right? We haven't actually made one, so we need to do that first. So let's go to campaigns and create a new one. So this is where we link everything together. I'm going to call this test demonstration. For the advanced settings, you don't really need to worry too much about these. These custom tokens here for usage in JavaScript and PHP nodes, that's when you're building a funnel. You kind of set specific things that you want to be able to be used in these nodes. and accumulate these URL parameters. I can never remember what that does, but that's up to you to test. So I'm first going to save that campaign. So it appears down here. And now what I can do is various things. I can edit, clone, view heat maps for the actual traffic. I can archive it, or I can delete it. If I just click on it, it's going to open the stats. You can see it changes to the stat menu here. I don't want to do that. I want to go back. I want to edit it, right? This is where we get into the funnel building process. This is all very visual, so most people find it much easier to use than most trackers in that respect. So this is the funnel window here, as you can see, and it sort of resizes as I move things to always have enough space. What I want to do is add a visual diagram for the click flow. So first of all, I'm going to, I right click, I think, to add things. I'm going to save the funnel first. Okay, now I'm going to do what? I need to add a lander first. So I'm going to select my lander and go, okay, I can add multiple ones if I want. Then I'm going to add my offer, which is this one here. Set them up in a nice visual flow, and to connect them, all I'm going to do is click and drag them from these actual connectors together. If I wanted to split test landers, all I would do is actually add other landers. Then I would add a rotator here, and instead of having that direct connection, I would go to this rotator and then go to all of my different landers. If I want to split test direct linking and going via a lander, then I'd send to a rotator where some go to a landing page and some go direct, right? So we can test that. It's up to you how you actually visually depict these. I would usually do something like this, where the landers kind of sit on a slightly higher level. It's really up to you. You can add an external URL. So let's add, say, our friend anandtech.com and add that. What we could do is make this rotate and continue to go to there as well, and that's just some sort of endpoint. Now you can also add to do advanced things. So these are these nodes that I talked about a little bit earlier. For example, if you wanted to execute some JavaScript code during a redirect of some kind, then you can put it in here, give it a name of some kind, go OK, and then you can have that here, and you can have it so that, for example, everyone who clicks through on a lander, maybe you want to fire Facebook pixel events or something like that. Everyone can go to this event and then go to the actual lander rather than going direct. There's all these different things that you can actually do, and again, it's all visual. And the last thing is a condition. So you can save various conditions to use. I believe they're kind of global across all campaigns. Maybe that's changed. Here I can say redirect people I hate, and I can select what I want to actually check. It could be any FunnelFlux internal parameter that is already tracked, where there's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot. Or it can be related to the actual traffic source. So these here are the traffic source parameters for Facebook that I could be passing. So let's say I put age, and put age is greater than, and put 30. So there's these various operators. So if the tracking field age is greater than 30, then fire this condition. So what I would do here is have all traffic come to this. Then I can delete that, and I will say if yes or if no. So if yes, if age is over 30, go to this. If no, we want to go to an external URL. Let's make that anandtech.com, and we'll actually delete this, connect this here. Okay, so let's review. What's the logic flow here? All traffic comes to this condition. If the age parameter is over 30, they go into our funnel, our redirector here, which takes us to a lander, which then goes through to the offer or directly to the offer. If under 30, we send them to this URL here, right? Pretty simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to test that. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to click stay on page because I don't know what it wanted there. Yeah, it didn't seem to like me just then. I'm going to refresh that page and hope it's saved. Probably chose the wrong thing. There we go, it's saved fine. So I'm not quite sure why it was giving me that warning. I guess it redirects at the end there and I cancelled it. So you are meant to let it go. Perfect. So what I want to do now is test this. There's a few ways to do this, and there's a few things that we need to do here. Firstly, this lander, right? When people click through on action 1, they are being sent to this lander. I can actually send them to multiple places with various actions. So I can probably drag to say another external URL, put this here, put that for example, and this would be action 2. Now if I want to get those URLs that actually trigger those actions, I just right click on this and get actions URL. Now here you can see it has a action number 1, and it says the funnel specifically. Now if I have traffic coming to these landers organically, not via FunnelFlux, then FunnelFlux is not going to actually know essentially like what source they came from and so on. If you have organic traffic, then you can have these parameters here to make sure that FunnelFlux knows exactly what funnel position everything is in. So this basically tells it which part of a funnel it's in. If I turn that off, it gets rid of that, which means that the clicks would only go to this lander if someone had come through into the FunnelFlux system directly. If they navigated to the landing page like indirectly, they just went to the URL, it's not going to work. So I'm going to leave it as that for the moment, and I'm going to copy that URL to clipboard. What I'm going to do is open that actual bridge lander and edit it. For the URL here, I'm going to put it to that URL and hit save. And then I'm going to say yes. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is get our actual URL that we'd use in a campaign, right? There's 2 ways to do this. First of all, we can send traffic to any single one of these nodes directly. We can right click here and do send traffic here. We could send it here. We could send it here. If we want to send it directly to the initial starting node, then we can just click that and it comes up with all of these data, all of this kind of filled. For the traffic source, we picked Facebook, and that is our link, right? So if I load this link in a new tab, when it actually lets me open a new tab, if I paste that in there, what happens? We get sent to AnandTech. Why did we get sent to AnandTech? We have this condition here which redirects me there if my age is not over 30. I haven't put an age into the actual URL at all over here, so of course it's going to do that. What if I put 29? AnandTech. What if I put 30? Nope. But what if I put 31? There we go. So hopefully you can see that worked exactly as I intended. This is the bridge page because it has all of that text missing. Here's the call to action, which you can see has that URL in the bottom left corner. If I click this, it should go to the other page, which it did. But if I came to this page directly, not via my actual FunnelFlux link, so if I open this in a new private browser and load that, this is unlikely to work. So it's 404 because it has no idea who I am, where I came from, what my traffic source was, and what part of a funnel I am in, right? Because I was never tracked doing any of that. I literally did not interact with FunnelFlux at all before I visited that page. But if we turn on organic tracking, so here, for example, edit this page. No, wait, what am I doing? Where is it? On action 1, get actions URL. If I want to route organic traffic, I need to use that. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to edit this page again. And it generally makes sense to use that if you've got a chance of organic traffic. If you do not, then you can use the more universal URL like this, which you don't need to change. So that URL is the prime candidate for a snippet where, you know, fftab would put that specific URL in, and you'd always use it for the first call to action on your page. But if I want to route organic traffic, I need something more specific that actually gives FunnelFlux some context to work with if people come from the middle of nowhere. If I open that in a new private browser, Now you can see, okay, it's cached. Obviously, it's on the CDN. That was not so smart. Let's try no CDN. Is the URL changed? Now you can see in the corner the URL has changed. If I click that, now you can see it actually redirects through, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. Okay, moving on. Let's continue back here. So we can get a campaign link directly from these nodes using this kind of pop-up. We can also go to your links. We can select a campaign. We can select a funnel for that campaign, because you can have multiple funnels in these actual campaigns and you can sort of test them. And we can select the traffic source, and there we go. So this is basically the pop-up that appears on this page. On this page you also get all your other stuff. So here's your universal sort of action URL, like I just sort of demonstrated. Here's your postback URL, which we'll use in a moment. Here's your conversion iframe. So this you would put with your network. This you would also put with your network as well if they supported iframes. And this is the pixel stuff. So this is kind of the client side stuff. And lastly, they have a ClickBank instant notifications integration as well. So the last thing I want to do in this video is actually do a campaign end-to-end flow and show you the postback URL working and the stats. So we can close this for now. I'm going to get this link here for sending traffic from the very beginning. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to actually paste it in here, put age is 31 so that we pass that condition, and then get rid of all of this stuff, which is all from the traffic source. Paste it in here so I have it at easy access. Now what I'm going to do is go through to the stats. I want to, what one? Oh, I'll go to my campaign actually. Okay, there's my test demonstration. I want to load that. Okay, and you can see the various pieces of data here: funnel entrances, node views, clicks, I can change various things like my time zone and so on. There's various filters that I can do here, like show duplicate clicks, or show filtered traffic, and so on and so on. Okay, what else do I want to do? Show hide columns. So there's all these columns here that you can deal with. Unique entrances, for example. Place that. Probably very few of those. Unique entrances is only one because there's just me. Duplicate clicks, and so on and so on. Okay, so I'm going to leave that as is. I'm going to drill down into this test demonstration. Actually, sorry, that goes to edit that campaign. What I want to do here is not group it by campaign, actually. I only have one campaign, so I don't need to do that. But here you would usually put, that's automatically going to be there, right? If you go to stats directly, so if I go to drill down report, tree, and flat table, they're going to start just kind of with nothing. It's just all data from everything. It can be in a table view or it could be in a tree view. For the differences in views, let's just look at something simple like, what can we look at? This is kind of hard because I'm one person, so all of my data is very similar. Is there a time related thing? Hit time. So let's load that and apply. So there we go. You can see all the different hit times there. And these are all completely unique, right? So what I probably need to do here is populate us some other data. So I'm going to open Chrome. I'm going to paste this in here. There we go. That's one visit. Do I have IE or Internet Explorer? I guess I do. Let's paste. Oh, no, I've never used you and I don't want to. Internet Explorer, please. Paste this in here. Oops, I deleted something at the end then. There we go. So now we should have IE as well. So say if I make this browser and then apply, you can see Chrome, IE, and Firefox. I can sort by funnel entrances, which is the main one I'm probably going to sort by. Then I could drill down, for example, by ISP and apply. So this is the flat table view, right? It's this, then this, then this. And if I was to connect by a VPN and do various things, like it's all going to just kind of be this big flat table that expands out. If I do the drill down, the tree view, and I do browser, and then ISP, and I do this, now you can see it's a tree view where it expands like this. This is generally the preferred view of most people. But if you go from campaigns and you click test demonstration, it's going to add this campaign filter from the beginning so that you're only looking at test demonstration, and then you can load browser and ISP and so on and apply that. Now, the one thing that you are very likely to actually drill down into is the traffic source tokens, right? So if we go back to our campaign and we get the link for it by either going to edit the funnel or going to your links, for example, say I get it from here, test demonstration, that funnel, start at the traffic node, this is Facebook, and we get this link. So if I open a new window, when it lets me open a new window, it's kind of intercepting my shortcut keys. Oops. There we go. So if I put in here and I put this and this and this and this, and we make age at least 66, da 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 da. Oops, not what I want. There we go. If we load that, and then we load it again with different values, and yet again with some other values. Oops, getting very good at this. Bam. Okay, now if we go back to our actual drill down report and we refresh, well, you'll see some more visits come in, a bit more than 13, now 16. Let's say I now want to break this down by a traffic source token. I can just write tracking URL tracking field, and then for the field I can select which one I want. So I want the URL tracking field parameter, and let's say I want to break it down by the age and then the campaign and then the placement, and I apply. Now you can see the various ages and so on that I've used here. So hopefully you can see that it's very easy to actually drill down into the data passed by your traffic source. And yes, so that's how you do that. Now with the conversion tracking, the last thing I wanted to show you here is using the postback URL. So for these, for example, let's add hit ID, which is the unique ID of that person, that clicker, and let's expand one of these. So this will take a while because it's crunching. Hit ID is unique for every single person, so it will take a while to crunch those once you have a lot more data. Let's keep expanding. Oh. Okay, so these are the hit IDs. You can see that there's a bit of a mix here at the moment. I'm pretty sure it is hit ID that I want. I'll just have a quick look. Yes, it is. So what I want to do is go down here and get the conversion postback URL. I'm going to open that in a new tab. When it lets me open a new tab, I need a new tab button. I never really use it. But that's probably because of 1Funnelflux's shortcut keys or something like that. Okay, so if I go back here and I paste in my postback URL here, the Flux payout, let's make that $37. The Flux TX ID is optional and you won't need it. And the Flux hit ID, let's make that 4, and let's copy that and load it. That loads pretty much no page. All that was a request to a system in order to signify that a certain event actually occurred. Something interesting is going on here with my Firefox, but we'll just assume that it's fine for the moment. If I refresh, I should see an actual revenue event come through. Okay, so my browser was being a bit weird, so I just sort of refreshed, and now I am sorting by campaign and hit ID. You can see they're clearly sequential. Every visit gets a new hit ID, and it's just a number which keeps increasing. And when you send a postback URL conversion event, all you're essentially doing is sending this number and saying, hey, 1Funnelflux, this number of this specific user, that just converted. Okay, so I'm going to put that here. I'm going to give these a little bit of shifting. When it lets me, it's not very happy with me right now for whatever reason. Okay, I don't know what it's doing. In any case, let's put conversions postback flux HD. Let's do 16, and let's do 21, and let's do a payout of 3. Okay, and let's also open this in a new browser as well, because there's the potential that it might be blocking that if it's coming from the same browser in the same session, for example, as a sort of security measure to stop a random person loading your campaign and then finding a tracking link and firing lots of postbacks. 9, and so on and so on. Let's see what's happened here. Okay, now let's get rid of some of these actual columns, which are a little bit annoying. Let's get rid of that, and that, and that. Okay, so you can see here that we now have clicks, which are, so to clarify here, an entrance is people entering your funnel, they might get sent to a lander. A click is when they click through on the lander, and a conversion is obviously a conversion. Here we have hit ID 16, so that was the first one that I triggered. It might be that when I try to load more and more and more, it knows that I'm the same browser, same session, and it says no, or it cookies and it says like, I'm not letting you do this again. So I can probably do this by opening a new private browser window and maybe do 3, and then open a new private browser window and do 17. And if in doubt, you can always fire postbacks yourself, but you don't really need to for reasons that I'll show you in a moment. Get rid of that. So only one conversion at the moment. We'll wait a few moments to check again to see if something came up. So all you would need to do for conversion tracking at your affiliate network is essentially pass through click ID to the offer, which we'll look at right here. So let's say which is edit that. If we want to pass the FunnelFlux click ID through to the offer, we would do something like this. It would depend on your network how you actually want to pass this parameter. Let's do, say, I tend to always do the last one, and we want to insert the hit ID, and then that'll pass it to the network, and then we want to post back to our platform. We would probably have something like this, with the hit ID being equal to S5, and that would fire this actual dynamic hit ID value or number back. FunnelFlux would be happy, all would be well. Okay, but for doing that, it's better if we just have a video over a specific traffic source so that it's specifically like contextual and I'm using the actual values and tokens and so on that you would actually need. Otherwise, it can get a little bit confusing. It probably already is a little bit confusing. We'll refresh this one more time and then we can kind of end things off. Nope, it doesn't like me. It's clearly too smart and blocks some of my conversion adding, which is not that surprising. I mean, what would you do if you saw all these conversions being fired by a certain browser, by one IP, by a person who's actually logged into FunnelFlux and so on? If you really did want to do that, all you would do is go to update conversions. You can then put the hit IDs in here. So you can put, say, 12, 3, 13, 17, 19, and update. And then if you were to go back to those stats, then you would see once it updates, okay, so the problem is it hasn't actually updated yet. That's the main reason that I'm not actually seeing what I want to see here. Also, I should note, you can save these views, I believe. I'm not sure how. Maybe it's here. Add view. Okay. Perfect. So if you have a certain view in terms of like the breakdown and the way that you're actually doing these things, first of all, note that the URL here has all that information in it, and you can save that as a view specifically that you can come back to, which is cool. In any case, I don't know why I clicked apply then. That's all for now. I think FunnelFlux is very easy to use and easy to work with once you actually get in there and get involved. In terms of tracking for specific campaigns, again, we'll go over that for every single traffic source. So at the end of it, you've kind of got a complete mastery of how to use postback URLs, tokens, tracking, and so on. If you can master tracking itself, the concepts involved, and not just a specific tracking system, then you can use any of them just fine. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next video.